All right, guys, we're back after a little bit of a hiatus, and today we are going to take a look at America's entry into the Great War or World War I, right? That's what we kind of know it as today, but back then they really called it the Great War. And what we're going to see is that this war had been raging on for some time, right? There was a lot of buildup. It's going to begin in 1914, but for Americans, that's really a war that's kind of over there. It's not really any of our business. Why should we send our sons to go and bleed and die on some foreign battlefield? There's just no reason for it. In fact, the reality is many Americans really wanted neutrality. They were isolationist. We didn't need the rest of the world. We've got plenty of land. We've got plenty of resources, those sorts of ideas. And so big bunches of the country really were against the war. And in fact, President Wilson had really campaigned pretty vigorously on the idea of peace. We're not going to get involved in this war. Here we see the war in Europe, peace in America, God bless Wilson campaign button. Now that becomes a campaign promise that he really feels like he needs to hold up and adhere to. So he resists it for a long time. It's going to become evident, though, that we are creeping towards war. This is just kind of one of those things. And so we're going to take a look at some of the reasons why. And a lot of it has to do with the actions of Germany herself. The Germans are going to employ this strategy called unrestricted submarine warfare. It's basically they're taking submarines and they're kind of blockading the coast of mainland Europe, right? They want to make sure that British troops, British-made weapons, ammunition, that sort of stuff can't come from the United States or the Isle of Great Britain and make their way into France, where the war is largely being fought. And so by keeping British and their industrial output out of this war, they really kind of strengthen their own cause. But unrestricted submarine warfare means that they're sinking anything and everything on the oceans. Certainly, they're going to sink troop transports and military vessels, but they're also going to be putting on the bottom of the ocean merchant ships and anything that they believe to be carrying military personnel, weapons, ammunition, and so forth. So to that point, what we're going to see, and this is not the first passenger ship that's sunk, but it affects the United States a lot more. The Lusitania is sunk, and what we're going to see is that it puts 2,000 people at the bottom of the ocean, kills 2,000 or thereabouts, right? Including 128 American citizens. And that is something that American people don't take too kindly to. We believe in freedom. We believe that you should be able to go anywhere you want to go. And when our freedom of travel and trade are restricted, we really have a problem with that. 128 Americans being killed, we take that personally, right? So what we will see is that under pressure from the United States, Germany really backtracks. In fact, they agree to stop unrestricted submarine warfare. They're going to only attack military ships. They're going to give warning before they fire, those sorts of things. But they quickly realized that without unrestricted submarine warfare, it really lessens the strength of their blockade. Ultimately, the fear, and it's founded, right? The fear that they have is that troops could get, wearing civilian clothing, get on a passenger ship, a cruise ship, a ferry, and be brought over to the mainland under the safety of not being attacked because they're not a military vessel. And then all of a sudden, there's all these reinforcements on the battlefield. Or that passenger ships or cargo ships may have military-grade weapons on them. And so they really say, we tried to play nice. We tried to do this because we wanted to appease the United States, and we don't want them getting in the war. But they feel like they have to resume that practice. As they resume that practice, a number of other American ships are going to be sunk, and it further drives a wedge between Germany and the United States. The reality is in this war, there's probably not good guys and bad guys. There's plenty of blame to go around. We tend to think of ourselves as the good guys and the Germans were the bad guys. And while that's true in World War II, in World War I, it's a little bit more murky than that. This is the strategy that they're employing to try to win. But now we have bad blood between us. And so what we're going to do, or what we're going to see, is that Germany is really fearful that the United States is eventually going to enter the war on the side of the Allies with the British, right? And in order to kind of head that off and negate that advantage, Germany is going to seek an alliance with Mexico. I'm going to show this political cartoon here. They're looking for an alliance with Mexico so that Mexico can start a war with us on our southern border. If we're at war here at home, we're not going to send all of our troops to Europe. We have to deal with matters here first. And the way the Germans really make that something enticing is they tell the Mexicans that when we're done with this war, we're going to help you beat the Americans, and then we will let you have back the land that was taken from you in the Mexican cession. You're going to get back Texas. You're going to get back Arizona and New Mexico. So they kind of tell the Mexican government that they'll carve up these big parts of America and be given back. That sounds pretty appealing to Mexico. The problem is their plan gets discovered when there is a message that's intercepted from the German minister. And we call it the Zimmerman note or the Zimmerman telegram. And it basically outlines the entire plan. Now, Mexico was probably more willing to be on board with it when they had a little bit of an element of surprise. But now that it's out there in the open, now that it's been discovered, this devious action, they go, no, we don't want any part of that. The United States, however, considers that action of trying to openly plot against the United States to be an act of war. And because they have openly plotted against us, a few months later, after Congress discusses it, and after the American news media kind of gins up a lot of support and whatnot, all of a sudden we are going to find ourselves just months later joining on the side of the Allies. And that's how we become part of World War I. It may have been inevitable. It may have happened regardless. But those are the things that kind of moved us further down. There were economic issues. There certainly were the issues with the Zimmerman note. Nobody's going to take that kindly. And then the unrestricted submarine warfare. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. As always, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's what you probably need to be aware of. Guys, I appreciate you watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. I love to see your comments. If there's anything that I forgot or you have more analysis to add, don't be afraid to get with me in the comments. I try to write everybody back. But anyway, like the video, guys. Appreciate you watching, and I hope you learned something. Thanks.